Okay, so we thought we'd do something a little bit different, and we'd talk about what it's like to be on the road for a year.
Being a tour guide.
Being a tour guide, that's it. So we're going to go through our 2024 season and just run through what we did, where we went, what cars we used, any challenges we ran into. So where do we start the year?
The high country.
Big high country, yep.
Yes.
Nice and warm in summer there, so that's usually when we try and do the high country. 7-day tour there, had great weather.
Yeah,
We
it's beautiful.
Yeah, used the Ford Ranger.
Yeah.
How'd that tour go?
That went really well.
Good.
Considering the December tour, it absolutely bucketed
Yeah,
down.
before Christmas there was some bad weather down there, a bit of flooding.
Bit of flooding, but after that it was all cleared up and beautiful.
Yep. So I hit all the high spots, the Billy Goats, Blue Rag,
Yep.
Craig's Hut, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was a really good tour.
Yeah, so after that we came back to Sydney for a little bit, worked back at the shop and got our tour vehicles ready, got our season ready, the rest of our season ready.
And then we went back to the high country.
Back to the high country in March.
Yeah, we did the HEMA guidebook, didn't we?
Yeah, so a lot of you know we partner with HEMA Maps quite closely. They asked us to do a bit of work for them for video guidebook for the Vic High Country. So we drove some of the iconic high country tracks. We videoed, again we did it in the Ranger, we videoed the Ranger doing it and did a bit of talking about how to prep your car and how to do those tracks, what to expect.
Yep.
So that was a piece of work in March. And there we went straight up to Brizzy. What for?
The HEMA 40th birthday anniversary.
Yeah, again we were lucky enough to be invited to HEMA's 40th anniversary dinner. So those guys have been around for 40 years, family-owned company,
Yeah.
still going strong. While we were up there we went to the Brizzy 4x4 show. So it's just around the corner from where we were staying and where the dinner was. So it was good to catch up with some people there and see the Brisbane show.
Yeah, it was good timing.
Yeah, good timing. After that we're back down to Melbourne, and the reason for going down to Melbourne this time was not for the high country, but it was for the first Adrenaline store to be outside of New South Wales.
Yeah, it was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, so there's now an Adrenaline off-road in Pakenham. So we went down there 1st of April, turned the key, and trained everyone up and rebranded and got everything set up there, so that's all running.
Now we have a store in Melbourne.
Yeah, now there's a Melbourne presence.
Yeah,
East of Melbourne, but yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Also, we did the Outback tour in April.
Yeah, so April was the start of our Central Australia trip, our season. So we started with our 14-day Central Australian Outback tour. Starts in Flinders Ranges, that one, and worked its way up to Uluru, Kings Canyon, edge of the Simpson Desert, Hot Springs, and back down.
Yeah, there's a lot on that tour.
Yeah.
Add a little side note, Ben had to do a university course so that we were able to go to Uluru.
Yeah, so to be a guide, to guide inside the Uluru Kata National Park, you have to have a separate qualification. So we had to go through and do 6 months with Charles Sturt University to get skilled up on how to deliver that tourism in that area.
Yeah.
So we did all that, and that's part of that tour now permanently. Okay, after the 14-day outback, where do we go? Simpson Desert.
Yeah, desert season.
Yes, we've got 3 back-to-backers.
Yep.
We start with what we call Simpson Desert.
We actually had 4 back to back.
Yeah, but we ran 3.
We ran 3.
We ran 3 and then we handed over to one of our guides
Yeah.
to run the 4th one.
Yeah.
So the first one was Simpson Desert, starts in the Flinders up the Inundada track,
Yes.
goes across west to east, finishes up in Birdsville.
Mhm.
What card we used for that one?
The Cruiser.
70 series.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's where that car belongs. It loves being in the desert.
It does.
So we took the Cruiser out there.
Which has got a rooftop tent on it. It's very comfortable.
Yeah, canopy, rooftop tent. It's a well-dialed setup, that one.
Yeah.
Straight after Simpson, we've got Hay River.
Hay River.
Yep, that was our pick of the Simpson tours last year.
Lake Caroline.
Yep, Lake Caroline, probably one of the highlights on that tour. But that one starts in Birdsville, goes up the Hay River track, through the top of the East McDonald Ranges and finishes up near Alice.
Mhm. And then from Alice we shoot down to start Madigan.
Yeah. So the Madigan tour was the last desert tour we did for 2024.
Mhm.
That starts near Alice, south of Alice,
Yep.
goes across Cecil Madigan's expedition, the 1939 expedition, and finishes up in Birdsville.
Yeah.
So that was good. Again, we used the Cruiser for the rest of it. So those first 3 tours, we also trained up some new guides. Isabel and Jeremy joined us for the second half of 2024,
Mhm.
and they ran the 4th season, the 4th desert trip themselves.
Yeah.
So what happened when we were finished doing desert tours?
Well, we shot back to Sydney and we may have picked up a bigger vehicle
Yep, so we
to
flew
continue.
out of Birdsville for the first time,
Oh yes.
so which was 5 stops to get from Birdsville to Brisbane.
We were on the post plane.
The mail plane, yeah, did the mail run, which is good. It's interesting.
Yeah, it was
Little
good.
prop-driven plane.
Yep.
Flew across.
It probably would have been quicker to drive, but anyway.
Don't know about that. Ended up back in Sydney, and we raced back to Sydney for 2 reasons. One was to pick up the Unimog, which was finished, and the other was to go to the National 4x4 show at Homebush. So we were asked to be on stage there. We did some talks about Kimberley and the Unimog that we've just built, that we're sitting in now.
That we took there.
And we took that and one of our Can-Am buggies to be next to the stage there. So that was a good, interesting experience, meeting and greeting a lot of people, having a chat.
Yeah.
So what happened when we left Sydney
Well,
in the Mog?
we didn't fly back.
No, we took the Mog with us.
We took this vehicle back with us.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
drove up through Lightning Ridge, back towards Birdsville,
Mhm.
because we'd left the car there.
Yep.
But that wasn't the main reason.
No, we went to the Big Red Bash.
Yeah, so we were invited to go to the Big Red Bash to be on HEMA Maps stand again. So
Yep.
as you can see, we do a lot of stuff with HEMA Maps.
It was our first time at the Big Red Bash.
First time Big Red Bash, being on a stand. It was great. We had some epic weather to start with some of the rain.
And then we spent a day in here
Spent a day in here watching movies while we
watching
were
movies because you couldn't walk around. I think they put a lockdown on, didn't they?
they restricted traffic for a bit.
Yeah.
But then the weather came good, and it was interesting. It was a great experience doing Big Red Bash.
Yeah, it was really good.
Might do it again.
Yeah.
The Big Red Bash, you can see the stage behind me. The weather here has been atrocious the last 24 hours. We've got the big Mog behind us there, but we are here, open for trading today. If you want to see a map, come buy a map, or talk to us about tag-along tours. Come down to see the HEMA guys just in front of the main stage. Look for the MOG, you can't miss it. It's worth noting that when we went to the Big Red Bash in the Unimog, we were towing our Can-Am Commander behind us, and there was a reason for that, because Benjamin, our Narellan store manager, towed our other 6x6 Can-Am up to Birdsville to meet us, and we did a recce for a very important set of new tours, which are our side-by-side desert tours.
Yeah.
So
that was cool.
Yeah, we met Benjamin up at Birdsville. We've unloaded our buggies up on some private land up there, and we've done a recce for the new buggy tours that we've started off for 2025. That was a good experience.
Yeah.
So we loaded as much food, fuel and water as we could into these two machines, and we went into some pretty cool areas, off tracks. We had permission obviously. Off tracks, we met with the Aboriginal locals who are from that area, and they showed us some of the scenery that they've got as well,
Yeah,
which was
they
good.
took you out for a little bit.
Yeah, so that was a good experience.
Hey Ben, tell us about what we just saw.
So a camel and a dingo walking along together.
Yeah, they were best mates, weren't they?
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, awesome. What's in your bag? You wish, with your rum.
So after the buggy recce, we've left the buggy behind at a station near the desert there, and we've headed north with the northwest with the buggy, with the Unimog and the Ranger.
Yeah.
So we did the bins track, which was interesting. Hayley was driving the Ranger, I was driving the Mog. Went up there as far as Kununurra.
Yes.
So Timber Creek is where the bins track stops. We ducked across the Kununurra, dropped the Ranger off there, and then we started the Gibb River Road in the Unimog. So that started in August. We drove across from the east to the west. We did the entire Gibb River Road. We did Mitchell Falls.
Yes.
We went all the way up to Columbaroo. That was a rough road,
Yeah.
especially
That was very rough.
in the Unimog, but it's amazing when you get to the top there. Honeymoon Bay is great.
Yeah.
Did some chopper flights around Mitchell Falls,
Yeah.
and then went all the way across the Broome. spin?
Yeah, let's get in.
Crocodile. Don't get any closer. While we were there, we thought, hey, why not do the Dampier? So we headed north up the Dampier Peninsula. Went up to some communities up there which were quite interesting.
Yeah.
Went to Cygnet Bay, caught the day cruise. So we caught one of the Kimberley day cruises across the horizontal falls and did that. That was epic.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably what's finally convinced me to pull the trigger and buy an adventure boat. But we'll talk about that later.
That's another story.
Yeah, so then Kimberley was done and dusted.
What was your favourite part?
Favourite part of the Kimberley, I don't know, it could have been horizontal falls, I reckon.
Yeah?
Broome was also nice, like driving up and down Cable Beach and the Unimog was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The sunset.
With all the camels also walking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was probably the tour that we did with Bundy.
Oh yeah, on the Dampier. So we did a tour with the Aboriginal bloke who took us mud crabbing and catching fish, and then we cooked them all up for lunch on a fire. That was a good day.
That was a good day.
Yeah, enjoyed that. After Kimberley was done, we started heading back east again. We had to start making our way towards the Cape, but again we thought we'd do the scenic route.
We always do the scenic route.
And also it's something I want to potentially include in tours going forward, which is Savannah Way.
Oh yeah.
So Savannah Way goes from Broome to Cairns.
Yeah.
So we backtracked, not down the Gib, we backtracked along the highway as far as Kununurra, picked up the Ranger again from Kununurra and headed down through Bitter Springs. And then once we got to Daly Waters, you start heading east again down Savannah Way, and then we crossed the Gulf. So what was the highlight of that? I think I know what your answer is going to be there, going across the Gulf.
Oh, it was 7 Emu.
7 Emu Station.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
So Frank Shadforth.
But you forgot to mention we picked up the buggy from the station.
Oh yeah, I did. Once we got to Bitter Springs or Daly Waters,
yeah.
I did a bit of a dash way back to the desert to pick up the buggy.
Mm-hmm.
And picked that up in the Ranger, brought it back, hooked it back on, and went across the Gulf there. So yeah, 7 Emu Station was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We dropped in there not knowing what to expect, but we were pleasantly surprised. It's some amazing terrain there.
Yeah.
The guys that run it are awesome. Really interesting place. Yeah, we made it out to the coast there, so which was interesting.
Which you should probably insert the crocodile video right now,
Yeah,
because that was pretty cool.
Check this crocodile out.
Yeah.
So after 7 Emu, you keep heading east. Went through Hell's Gate, and then came out the back of Western Queensland there. We didn't go into Lawn Hill. There's flood damage. We have been to Lawn Hill before. I would like to have gone again, but there's a bit of flood damage there, so we couldn't go there that particular trip.
Do the other one though.
Cobalt Gorge.
Yes.
Yeah, we stopped at Cobalt Gorge as we got a little bit further east there, which was interesting. Hadn't been there before.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Well worth the trip. And then found ourselves on the Cape. So August, September, we're running 10 and 14 day Cape York tours. We used the Ranger for that again. So parked the Unimog up in the Tablelands.
Yes.
Left that there and spent a couple of months running up and down the Cape in the Ranger. So we did 10 and 14 day tours. We actually flew back to Sydney after that.
Yeah, to do some training.
So
Yeah.
4-wheel drive training is another key part of the business. And being away that long, we'd neglected some of our customers maybe. Or they've been waiting for us to come back to do training. So we
Yeah.
flew back, did a couple of private training or corporate training courses,
Hmm.
and then flew back to the Cape. So when we got back to the Cape, we didn't expect to have to do any more work. We thought we were done. But we got a call from one of the guys at HEMA Maps, Rob,
Yep.
and he asked us whether we'd join them on a trip to do another video guidebook.
To map the telegraph track out.
Yeah, to do a video guidebook for the Teletrack. So we took the Ranger, they took the 79 series Map Patrol
Mhm.
and did the Teletrack. Unfortunately, that car didn't make it all the way up the Teletrack.
The teletrack was quite
It
difficult
was rough
last year. Yeah, there was.
So there's a really tough crossing at Canal Creek, which is unusual, but it's
Yeah.
tough. Poor old 79 broke what we thought was just the CV there. It turned out it was the diff and more. Took me about 3 hours to winch them to the other side.
Yeah.
We ended up just camping the other side of Canal for the night, and then we did the rest of the Teletrack in the Ranger, all of us, so that we could finish the guidebook work. Went back, picked up the 70 and got it to a state where it could drive back to Brisbane.
Yeah. I mean, just going off that, the teletrack, it changes from trip to trip. Like, we can do a trip and then 2 weeks later it can be completely different.
Yeah, so on our 10-day tour, it was quite reasonable.
Yeah.
And then on a 14-day tour, we spent 6 hours there.
It was
at Gunshot.
insane, yeah.
So just crossing Gunshot took 6 hours to get the tour group through. And we had cars that were stuck there for 2 hours at a time, right?
Yeah, because there was no bypass. It
No.
was,
Without going all the way out to the Ranger base and back,
yeah,
to actually cross Gunshot Creek there,
yeah.
there was no easy option. So we saw people trying to take what looked like the easy option and being stuck in mud up to their bonnets. So we sort of ended up going down the drop-offs, but we still had a few people get stuck there.
Yeah. And it just shows how quickly Cape York changes.
That's Cape York for you.
Yeah.
Alright, so once we were done with work on the Cape, it was time for play. One of the things we like to do up there is a charity event called League of Lemons. So this is organised by some friends of ours that live in Weipa, Weipa locals, Sam and Cass. So they've been organising it for 9 years. This
Yeah,
will be the 10th
this will
year
be the
this year.
10th year this
So
year.
last year was the 9th year. We've previously done that charity event. I'll tell you what it is first. So it's a 4-day event, one way, and then you make your own way back. But you take 4 days to get from Weipa to the tip and finish up at Punsand Bay. It finishes up at Melbourne Cup Day, and they used to do horse races down the beach and have a big party there. Punsand have stopped that as of last year, but that was always a good event. So we've done that event twice before last year, and we did it in a Falcon both times. 2 different Falcons. So AU Falcon, 2-wheel drive, a couple of slight modifications to fit some bigger tyres,
Just a little bit.
some Bunnings PVC snorkels.
Spray painted gold,
Yep.
of course.
And drove the Teletrack. So last year though, we decided to do something different, and we did it on our postie bikes. So we shipped our postie bikes up
So
to Cairns.
I have a 1989
89, I think.
postie original, and
Yep.
Ben cheated with his
21 model.
21 model.
But it's still fun. So we did the event on postie bikes
Mm-hmm.
over 4 days to get up there, and it took us a day to get back to Weipa.
You have to mention also that there's a limit on how much you can spend.
Yeah, so lemons, to be a lemon, you've got to be under $3,000.
Yeah.
So you get all sorts of things, old 60 series, old Forerunners,
Sierras and
everything.
Yeah.
So it's always a good spread of cars, and you get a couple of nutcases each
What
year.
was Cassian last year?
Brumby.
Brumby.
Oh, no, it wasn't a Brumby, so it was a Subaru L-Wagon, similar.
Oh yeah, the L-Wagon. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good fun. Alright, once we were done with lemons, it was time to pack all our stuff up. So we put the posties in the back of the Ranger. We loaded everything
Yes.
into the Unimog we could fit. And Hayley towed the trailer with the buggy on it
Yeah.
all the way back down to Sydney.
Mhm.
And I drove the Unimog. We did have a couple of issues with the Unimog on the way back. We did a front pinion seal, so that caused us a bit of grief, but we got it back in one piece.
Yep.
So yeah, the Unimog came back and then started getting its love from its big trip.
I think that we did that trip from Cape York to Sydney in 4 days.
From Weipa to Sydney in 4 days, yeah, driving a truck and towing,
How many Ks is that?
I'm going to say it is about 3,600 Ks.
We did a lot, yeah.
Have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did some big days.
Yeah, we did. But it was good because we pull up at night and you just jump in here, you open the door, and
Yep,
you're good.
that's it. You got a house on wheels, which is why we built this truck.
Yeah.
Last thing we did in December was probably one of the best things we did all year.
Yeah.
What was that?
Tassie.
We went to Tassie. So we hadn't been to Tassie for a couple of years. Luckily, we had been asked to go down there and do some training work for one of our corporate customers.
Side-by-side training.
So four-wheel drive and side-by-side.
Yeah.
So as part of it, we also allowed a few weeks to do some recce work for some potential future tours down there. Now, we've been to Tassie before, multiple times, but you've got to go to an area with your tour eyes on to start planning tours, and that's what we did this time. So we spent 3 weeks down there. Our mate Ray showed us some awesome spots. Hi Ray, if you're watching.
Hi, Ray. Hi, Norm.
Yeah, and Norm is Ray's dog, one of Ray's dogs.
And Nitro.
And Nitro. So yeah, Ray showed us around. We met some people that we've also knew from Tassie down there, and some new people that we didn't know.
Yeah, it was great to meet them.
We took our side-by-side with us because we were doing training, but we used that side-by-side everywhere on the west coast.
Yeah.
So we got to do Climbies, we got to do Cumberland, we got to do all sorts of tracks. Montezuma Falls.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, so that was heaps of fun.
Yeah.
After that, once we'd done our play, we went and did our work. We went and did our training with our customer.
Yeah.
And then came back to Sydney. And
We did the training on a private island.
yeah, so that was Robbins Island on the northwest coast.
Yeah.
It's a cattle station. But yeah, after that we headed back to Sydney, and that was the end of our year. It was Christmas time. So that is what a year as a tour guide looks like.
I think we were home 20% of the year.
If that, I reckon we were home probably 6 weeks in the whole year.
It wasn't much.
Yeah. We got to operate our vehicles and the buggy in all states of Australia. So we used them in WA, Northern Territory, South Australia,
Yep.
Queensland, New South Wales, Vic. We didn't use the buggy in Vic, we used the cars.
Yes.
And Tassie we used both as well. So
Yeah.
all our gear got a workout, we got to play.
Yeah.
And we finally bit the bullet and bought a boat. That was another exciting
so
thing.
boating adventures next.
In the one of the 6 weeks that we were home in Sydney,
Yeah.
we managed to pull the trigger on a what will be an adventure boat. So we bought it in October. So keep an eye out for some of the things we're going to do with that. We're setting that up to go up to Cape with us this year, and we're going to go and do Torres Strait Islands. So once we've done our Cape York season,
Yep.
we'll load up on that boat for 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll go north up into the Torres Strait Islands and do some cool stuff up there, adventure boating.
You might want to mention an extra vehicle you may have added to the fleet.
The fire truck, not that one.
Not that one.
Oh, the patrol.
Yes.
Yeah, so again, we bought a patrol. That was this year though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so
But going forward.
So we've added also the GQ patrol to the fleet.
Yep.
So that's going to do the Cape and Tassie going forward, because the Cape was a bit hard on the old Ranger last year. It's all right if you're just doing the Cape once, but if you're doing 3 and 4 trips up and down, it's probably a bit much for the Ranger. So we decided to pick a patrol.
Yeah.
Tony from GME's inspired me on that one.
While you're on new vehicles, you might as well mention what our support vehicle for this year
The
is.
fire truck, yeah. So we bought a fire truck last year, and that's going to support our buggy tours this year. So that's a dual cab Isuzu FTS, full drive. We've stripped all the fire gear off the back of it, and we're actually in the middle of doing the last things to it right now, so it can go out in May for our Simpson Desert buggy tours.
Yeah.
So it'll carry fuel and food and cooking stuff for our customers on the way.
Yep.
So the fleet is growing. Keep an eye.
Yeah, we have Ross also helping us with that.
Yeah, so what we might do, let us know whether you like this sort of stuff, whether you want to see more of
What
behind
we
the
do.
scenes of what we do, that sort of stuff. We're actually thinking about doing somebody's going for a drive. We're actually thinking about doing some videos on the vehicles too. So we might do some walk around videos and explain how we set up all our different vehicles and what we use them for, why we use a particular setup.
Yeah, we also might do like how we've packed our vehicle for a 14-day outback tour.
So yeah, leave us a comment, let us know what sort of content you want to see. We'll start creating a bit more of this stuff as we're on the road and start uploading it. See you on the tracks.